The Unicorn Wars is the most brutal cartoon I've ever seen. This is a Spanish animated film about a war between unicorns and teddy bears, and I know that sounds ridiculous, but this movie is 100% supposed to be taken seriously. And trust me, if you sit down to watch this movie, be prepared for some very adult subject matter. First of all, do not, under any circumstances, show this to children or let children watch it. Unicorn Wars is extremely violent, it's disturbing, and it's emotionally devastating. This film is full of iconoclastic imagery, it's full of ironic imagery, and also Masonic imagery. And to be honest, I'm not sure exactly what it all means. There is a lot left up for interpretation, and I appreciate that. This film is very creative, it's very complex, and the characters are fully realized, multi-dimensional personalities. Unicorn Wars seems to be exploring the themes of duality, civilization versus nature, religion, and the loss of innocence, which is what I believe the unicorns represent, is innocence. It's a multi-layered story because it's not just about the war of the unicorns, it's also about the strained relationship between two brothers. And these brothers basically embody the good twin, bad twin archetype, and their strained relationship revolves around a family secret that is slowly revealed throughout the movie. In the very beginning, we are shown that the unicorns live in this magical forest, and they live in harmony with all the other cute and cuddly creatures, but right away we are shown that something is wrong here, and something bad is happening. In the middle of the forest there is a cathedral in ruins, and it's all black. And the color scheme changes completely to these ominous tones of black and red. The unicorn, whose name is Maria, goes to the cathedral and she sees something horrific. So whatever is going on in here is the key to the meaning of the film. There are three main characters in the movie: the unicorn named Maria and the teddy bear brothers. The pink brother, whose name is Gordi, which literally means fatty, and the blue brother named Azulin, which means bluey. The pink one is the nice one, and the blue one is the mean one. The teddy bears, who call themselves ositos, which just means little bears, in Spanish, are at the camp training for the war. But even though they're training for battle, they're still preoccupied with being soft and fluffy. And a fight breaks out when the green bear insults the blue bear and he calls him ugly. So right away we see the duality of the teddy bear, that one second they are fluffy and adorable, and the next second they are vicious. A big part of this movie is the dynamic between the two brothers, and there is a scene that I think perfectly illustrates their relationship. The brothers are sleeping in the same bed. And the pink one, Tubby, he wakes up in the middle of the night and he tells Bluey that he wet the bed. Bluey promises to help him get up and wash the sheets without being noticed by the others, but instead of helping his brother, he wakes everyone else up and tells them that his brother wet the bed just so they can all make fun of him. This is incredibly hurtful to Tubby, but sadly he's used to it because Bluey is extremely cruel to him all the time. Another important part of this movie is the family secret. Back when the brothers were children, they found out that their mother was having an affair. And this caused Bluey to turn on his mother because he identified more with his father than his mother, and he became extremely resentful. His father tells him that in order to get respect, you have to be the best, and if you're not the best, then you're a pathetic loser, and everyone's gonna walk all over you, and that's why his wife is leaving him, because he just wasn't good enough. So we can see how this event shaped the person that Bluey became as an adult. He's cold, he is cruel, he wants to be the best, and if anyone is better at him than anything, then he becomes enraged. Another aspect of the Unicorn Wars is the religion of the teddy bears, which visually is modeled after Christianity, but the lore of the religion is based around the conflict between the unicorns and the bears. Long ago, the bears were just primitive animals like the unicorns, and they lived in a state of innocence in the magical forest, very similar to the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, until one day when the bears discovered the cathedral and the Book of Knowledge. After reading the Book of Knowledge, the bears evolved and created civilization, and this made them superior to the other animals. According to the lore, the unicorns were jealous and rebelled against the bears, which sparked the Holy War between the bears and the unicorns. The bears believe that the unicorns are bloodthirsty demons, and that there will be no peace until every last one is killed. Not only that, there is a prophecy that the bear that drinks the blood of the last unicorn will become a beautiful, eternal being and bring God's presence back to the forest. The plot of this movie revolves around the war, but the truth is that the bears are all terrified. None of them want to be there. They were all drafted into this war by the powers that be. So clearly this is an example of anti-war, anti-militarism messaging. Even the captain of the troop doesn't want to be there. He doesn't even believe in the religion of the bears. He thinks they're all on a suicide mission and they're just being forced to march through this forest, which is extremely dangerous. So the troop of bears is marching through the forest and they come across some rainbow caterpillars. As it turns out, these rainbow caterpillars happen to be a psychedelic, and the priest warns them not to eat it. He says it's the food of the devil and the holy book is against it. The captain of the troop goes crazy. He says he doesn't care what the book says, and he attacks the priest. That night, the bears eat the caterpillars, and then they all start hallucinating. The white bear twins get separated, and then something horrible happens. One of the twins mistakenly attacks and murders the other twin, thinking he was a monster, and in the morning, when he realized what he did, he hung himself. It turned out that the priest was right, and that's another aspect of this movie that I appreciate is the nuance, because a less sophisticated writer would just take the character of the priest and portray him as just a controlling, judgmental Bible thumper, essentially, because this is clearly an allegory to Christianity, and it is critiquing it as a system of control, but at the same time, it's humanizing the character of the priest and showing that he is, in fact, right about some things, and he does have good intentions towards the other bears. Later, the bears finally come across a unicorn and they kill it, and then the real battle begins. Only 3 bears are able to survive, and the yellow one and the brothers run away to safety, but the yellow one is seriously injured. Bluey takes this opportunity to him, and later he chops off the yellow bear's leg and he eats it. Tubby sees how deranged Bluey has become, and he decides to separate from him and go his own way. And then after Bluey is left on his own, this is where we learn the truth about what happened when they were kids. So it turned out Bluey actually killed his own mother by putting poison in her drink. But even though he did it on purpose, he seemed surprised that she drank it, and afterwards he was scared and regretful, and you actually start to feel bad for him. Because he was just a kid and he was angry, but he didn't really understand what he was doing. I don't think that he meant to kill her, because when she got sick, he was really scared, and he felt guilty, but he was too ashamed to say anything. So on one hand, he was haunted by this experience. But on the other hand, it hardened him and it kind of emboldened him to become even worse because he technically committed murder at a young age and he got away with it. So that encouraged him to be even more ruthless. But internally, he's struggling with these 2 different parts of his personality. Is he going to confess what he did? Is he going to try to patch things up with his brother? Is he going to try to redeem himself? Or is he going to embrace his dark side and become even more evil? Again, here in this part of the story, I also see the theme of lost innocence, as in the innocence of childhood that was shattered when he committed this horrible act. That's why I say Unicorn Wars is a multi-layered story, and this whole backstory about the brothers parallels to the main plot of the war. There's an external war, there's an internal war. We have good versus evil, we have twins, we have duality. I strongly believe that this is all intentional. While the brothers are walking through the forest, Bluey sees two unicorns in the distance and runs after them and attacks them. The unicorn gores him and throws him off the cliff, and Tubby assumes that he's dead. After this, Tubby starts taking care of the unicorn and they hide out in a cave. As it's clear that Tubby doesn't care at all about the war, he just wants to survive and avoid all of the carnage. Some bears find Bluey in the river, and he's still alive, but he's horribly injured, and they take him to a hospital. But if you had any hopes that Bluey would redeem himself, then all of those hopes are squashed, because he's back and he's more evil than ever. The Darth Vaderification of the teddy bear is complete, and he leads a full-scale mutiny against the military's authorities at the base, so that he can become the new leader. He orders them to set fires in the forest to draw out the unicorns, and the unicorns attack. And the final confrontation between the unicorns and the bears, and also the final confrontation between Bluey and Tubby, is underway. So the ending of this movie is very interesting. It leaves a lot up for interpretation. If you don't want the ending spoiled for you, please stop this video right now and go watch it for yourself, because I'm going to explain the final scene in detail right now. Okay, so here's exactly what happens. Bluey and Tubby confront each other. Bluey takes off his mask to reveal that he is horribly disfigured, and Tubby feels terrible for him and he rushes over to comfort him, because no matter what, he still loves his brother. They're both crying. Bluey appears to be regretful, and he admits that he's a monster, and he even makes an admission of guilt, saying, it's my fault, without actually explaining what he's talking about specifically. I interpret this as him trying to admit that he's the one that killed their mother, even though he doesn't say that explicitly. So again, they kind of tease you with the idea that he might be having a change of heart, but things take a turn again when Maria the unicorn is neighing loudly, and Tubby rushes over to help her. Bluey sees this and he becomes enraged again because he's jealous, so he's turning back to his evil ways. And then he even starts salivating like a dog when he sees the unicorn's blood. He picks up a big rock and he walks over to them, and honestly this part shocked me because I was not expecting this. He picks up a rock and he doesn't even hesitate. He bashes his own brother over the head with his rock and he kills him. And then he stabs the unicorn in the neck and he kills her. And then it starts raining blood. Because this is the last unicorn, he has just killed the last unicorn, and he drinks her blood in order to fulfill the prophecy. But something is going horribly wrong because he starts choking and it looks like the blood is actually going to kill him. And then something starts happening to the body of the unicorn. All of a sudden, it starts turning into this sentient sludge, which is the best way that I can describe it. And then it devours the body of Bluey and the body of Tubby. And then it takes a humanoid form, and it's still black. And it looks like it's made out of the sludge, but clearly it's in the form of a human, and it starts walking away. And then all of the monkeys follow behind it, and then they start to walk upright in a way that seems to be a reference to the process of evolution. This movie certainly gives the viewer a lot to think about. The writer and director Alberto Vasquez, he's a very creative guy, he's an artist, he makes graphic novels, he's a writer. He also made the movie Bird Boy: The Forgotten Children, which is an even weirder movie than Unicorn Wars, and I am planning on reviewing it at some point. But the creative choices here are just so curious. Why is it teddy bears versus unicorns? Why are the unicorns black? That's a very strange choice, and it's a very bold choice. And he must have done it for a reason, because unicorns are traditionally pure white. Why is the style so cutesy when it's so violent? It looks like it's geared towards children, but it's clearly not. What exactly is the amorphous blob monstrosity? What is it supposed to represent besides just evil? Why is it that the cathedral and the Bible are already there when the bears found it? Why is the cathedral in ruins? Are they living in the ruins of a past civilization? What on earth is he trying to say with the ending? Why is he referencing evolution? Because this is the last death of the unicorn, ushering in the appearance of these humanoid figures, it's almost like he's trying to say that the death of innocence and the corruption of paradise is what produced humanity. Also, let's look at his use of the concept of paradise as the enchanted forest, where the enchanted forest is clearly the Garden of Eden. He's mixing up his metaphors in a confusing way because he's criticizing Christianity, but he's also borrowing symbolism from the Bible. Why is the unicorn named Maria? Maria is Mary, the mother of Jesus, but there is no Jesus exactly in the movie, except maybe Maria is the stand-in for that because she's the sacrificial victim. She is the one that's consumed, kind of like communion, and that is supposed to be a purifying act, but it turns out to be toxic, so it's the complete opposite. Then you have the good brother, bad brother symbolism, which is a reference to Cain and Abel. In that story from the Old Testament, Cain was jealous of his brother Abel, and he killed him specifically by bashing him in the head with a rock, which is exactly how Bluey his brother. In the Old Testament, Cain was banished from Eden, but in Unicorn Wars, Bluey immediately dies and he is consumed by the blob. So that was Unicorn Wars. If you enjoyed this review, please click the thumbs up and subscribe for more videos. And please check out my Rumble and my Odyssey pages. I've been working on these mashup videos where I take clips from different shows and I put them together. And they're really funny. The only problem is they contain copyrighted material, and I simply could not get them posted onto YouTube no matter what, which is a huge bummer to me because I don't even care about monetizing them. I just want to make people laugh. So if you want to see some funny videos that you can't see on YouTube, please click on the links below. If you happen to already have Rumble or Odyssey accounts, then please subscribe to me over there. Good day. God bless.